Hey guys, I'm Jay. This is going to be me going over my own Spider-Man rewrite. I've been making this for a while. I just kind of had writer's block, so I figured maybe I could just give you guys a, not quick, but a 10-minute story on what I've written so far. This will be the backstory for Peter's parents, but I just hope that with this, I could write it, get some recognition, and also some advice, as there's actually a guy I know who is an author, and he's going to be giving me some full advice. I'm not probably not gonna be able to read it as well as I've written it because I like to go on tangents, so beware. But for you, if you're hearing in the background, I live with people, so you're probably gonna hear them in the background, or if you're watching Superman. So yeah, before we begin, I'm gonna flat out say it right now. This takes place in the future, not 2099, but more about 2020 to 2030. Peter is not gonna be like Spider-Man until like early 2030s when he's a teenager at that point. So let's begin. The year's 2020. Richard and Mary Parker were some of the best agents the U.S. had. Richard Parker was a former Special Forces captain who was recruited in the SHIELD. Mary is a former widow who escaped the SHIELD with the help of a friend, Natasha. Richard was the captain of his own squad, commanded by Nick Fury with heroics to boot. And that's while he's in SHIELD, as currently they work under Fury Sr. And Senior at this point is the one who started the Avengers, who have been around for roughly 12 years at this point. So they've been around since about 2008. Actually, yeah, hold up. Yep, 2008. Okay. And at this point, the first team is still the Fantastic Four. They are the first hero team, and they've been around since the late 80s. So that's basically around the time Richard was born. And they all still look younger. The fact that the cosmic radiation does not let them age as fast. So well, they may be a lot older. Like they say they're born like Johnny was born in the 70s, everyone else was born in the 60s, like mid to late 60s. They barely look like they're in their 30s. They look very young for how old they actually are. Just because cosmic radiation slowed it down. But back to Richard and Mary and Shield. Now, Richard is watched very closely by Captain America. He knew Richard respected his work in Shield as well as his time as a soldier, because Richard is what Captain America would have been if he had a healthy body. In the movies, Steve was a skinny guy. I believe in the comics, he was almost just a skinny guy with a few ailments that could not make him a qualified soldier, but he had a good heart. That's why he's a super soldier, or was made a super soldier with the serum. Richard doesn't need one. Richard is just all of that. He is just that good. Now, Cap views him as an ideal soldier for the super soldier serum. If they would make a perfect serum, he thinks it would go to Richard immediately. And even Fury respected Richard a lot. Richard in his youth was a champion boxer in cruiserweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. He even went to the Olympics and won gold. In the military, he took whatever class they offered. And it'll turn out that some of the stuff they offered was karate and judo. And some of his own men knew their own stuff, so they taught Richard a few things. And after the military, he went to the Olympics again and won two things back to back: judo and karate. He didn't win it all in one Olympic. He just literally took a long break between Shield and being in the military, which only left because he did not believe what he was doing was right. At least with Shield, even if he knows something's not right, he knows what he's going to get into. They don't hide things from him. They can't. And then with Mary, in the Red Room, she was close with Natasha. And then mentioned Natasha had left, and then soon Maria followed. Or Mary, but yeah. Now, she's also close with the scientist Hank Pym and his daughter, Nadia. I'll let you guys a guess why she's close with Nadia. Hank Pym, this one, is an old man. In fact, it was his idea, plus his wife, to make the Avengers, and they pitched it to Fury Sr., then he made it. Junior is basically his right-hand man. He's his dad's Maria Hill, basically. Now, Richard was definitely a pretty good powerhouse. But in terms of skill, Maria would destroy him. Yeah, she's basically skilled in every martial art under the sun, while Richard's good at a few different ones. One of his specialties boxing and little bit of judo. Yeah, if it comes to kicking, don't trust him in martial arts. He can do it pretty well. It was just he's not that good compared to other masters. But Maria's also every weapon you could give her. So yeah, and she wins a lot of local trophies and stuff for shooting in martial arts, like skeet shooting, stuff like that. Now, for missions, Richard handles stuff that involves combat, capture, a little bit of interrogation, while Mary handles stealth, capture, and assassination. Now, they're happily married until one mission they got one together, which is a rare occasion. They made them really happy to be able to do this together. Because usually missions they do together aren't ones that are like really dark or have a lot of details. It's more like we usually need a full squad. We'll send you two. You can do it together, and it works that well. But this mission will not go as well as I thought. Richard captured a man who went AWOL against Shield to sell secrets to the Red Skull. It wasn't anyone important. It was just a man who assumed he could make a quick buck and leave. But it didn't go that well. He was found by Richard. As Mary prepared to assassinate him, just inject him with a few chemicals. That would make it look like his heart just stopped due to just heart attack. But they were being watched. They couldn't tell from where, but they felt odd. Like Mary could feel someone staring into her soul, and Richard doesn't have a spider sense, but he feels like he's going to be attacked at any moment. And lo and behold, he's right. As he looked at Mary to ask her if she feels something too, a turret came onto the ground, but Richard, without even thinking, would jump and stomp on it as hard as he possibly can, and using his armor, which does give him a little bit of a boost, he crushes it. And with that, they decide to just kill the guy right then and there, and make a break for it. They can't bring his body back, they just need to go. And they began running. But behind cameras, they're being watched by Red Skull and Finisher. Or, pretty sure his name is Fears. It's Carl Fears, but his nickname is Finisher, I believe. Honestly, I've not read the comic involving him in a long time. I think it was a Spider-Man annual thing, but that was a while ago. Now, as they're running away, they eventually end up back, or at least halfway to where their ship was. But they're met by Crossbones, aka Brock Rumlow. Now, Crossbones has clearly been augmented. Strength, durability, reflex, stamina, all pretty normal humans, but they don't know where he stacks up against Captain America. And they wouldn't know if Red Skull ever fought him, because Red Skull, not as good as Captain America, but it's close. Red Skull doesn't want to fight him. He doesn't care about him. He's not willing to. But as strong as Crossbones is in their fight, well, Brock was beating the shit out of him, up until Richard decided to just quit playing around. Now, his strength and speed, toughness, they were useless. The moment he had a metal knuckle slam into his chin, and on the end of Richard, it was kind of over for him, as Richard broke his jaw with that one punch. And right as soon as Crossbones stumble, then he's met with a straight right. And Crossbones ended up recoiling, as he was hit in the throat with that hit. And Mary came from behind and suplexed him right on a rock, snapping his neck then and there. They can tell he's not dead, as he has his eyes open and everything, is even still breathing, but it's very clear he's paralyzed. But Finisher managed to capture them both with a turret he had hidden around there as well. Fired two rounds, and it paralyzed them. And Red Skull had came out of nowhere, seemingly nowhere. But then he reveals his base is just cloaked. They wouldn't have found it if they tried. Mary was begging for them to just go. She knew her husband wasn't going to beg, so at least she could try. But next thing she knows, Red Skull doesn't even care. One hand, he would grab Richard's head and twist. Without one hand, Richard's head is backwards. Mary screams, trying to rush at Red Skull, but Fierce doesn't really care. Pull out a revolver and shoots her until the clip is empty, and leave her to bleed out in the snow if she's still alive. And Red Skull, with some fake information, was able to spread out that Richard and Mary ran off. And with that, Fury assumes they took the information. So with that, they erase every bit of blood related to the Parkers, even the farthest cousin. The only thing they aren't able to kill is a baby, which Cap had hidden from them. And Cap stealthily put it in an orphanage. Away from S.H.I.E.L.D., it was a run-down one, but it was his best option. That's Cap's deepest secret, is that he hid Peter Parker. But this is it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know any feedback in the comments, and any information you want to know. Hope you guys enjoyed. Adios.